Okay, welcome and thank you for taking part. All answers are confidential and are used purely for research purposes within the organisation. Please answer honestly and don't try to second guess what we might want you to hear. We are interested in your opinions, whether they are positive or negative with regard to our product. Cherish?
Okay, so basically what we're asking questions about is a music magazine, but more specifically a grime music magazine. So, well, first what we have is a bit like of an open question. What is your favourite kind of music apart from grime music, if any of you like grime music?
To be honest, I'm not really a big fan of grime music, but I say folk is my favourite.
Anybody else?
Oh, rock music.
Hip hop.
R&B and hip hop. I don't really have a genre. If I like a song, there's a variety.
Okay.
So you got I'd go for rock music as well.
Yeah.
I'd go for 1950s and 1960s soul and disco.
Okay.
Nice icebreaker.
How often do you buy a music magazine if you buy one? How often?
I don't buy them. I've never bought a music magazine in my life.
Have you ever picked one up just to read or just?
No.
No, I buy a magazine weekly, which is called Kerrang, and I buy monthly a magazine called Steelhammer, a Metal Hammer, sorry. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not really as well as a big fan of buying music magazines because I just go on the internet. To be honest.
That's interesting. I used to buy music magazines, but I haven't bought one in ages now, actually.
So how much would you normally be willing to pay for a music magazine? The sort of quality, I guess. What you'd say quality.
Well, how much do you pay?
Kerrang weekly is £2.20. But they usually put the only reason I really buy their magazine is to tell me about new artists and about where my favourite bands are going to perform and stuff like that. To know about local gigs and who's coming to London.
I do buy Time Out magazine occasionally, which is a kind of entertainment magazine, but obviously it has a music element to it. I think that's about £3. So I think up to £3, I've got no problem with if there's some quality stuff to read in there. Beyond that, there'd have to be something pretty special about it, I think.
If it was a monthly issue, how much would you be willing to pay for it?
I don't know.
They look very different, don't they, monthly magazines?
Yeah, there's I guess if you were thinking about the content, what from a monthly magazine that say was £4.99, what would you expect from it?
It's a really interesting question, and it's really interesting related to music, because when I was young, I used to buy NME, and the thing with NME, which is great, was it was weekly, so therefore you get the gig updates. One of the reasons, as you rightly said, you buy music magazines is so you can know what music's coming out and when the gigs are happening. And if it's a monthly magazine, you're not necessarily going to know all that information a month before or 2 months before when it has to come out, and it might be out of date. So it's quite difficult. I don't know what you think about Time Out.
Yeah, because Time Out's weekly, so one of the reasons you buy it is to find out what's going on here and now. And I think Alo's point about the internet is really important. There's so much information available immediately that there has to be something pretty special in that magazine to make you part with that kind of money.
So if it was a weekly magazine, you wouldn't expect as much, but you'd expect more recent.
Yeah, up-to-date stuff, listings, what's happening now, but yeah.
I think a monthly magazine is usually filled with stuff which wouldn't expire as quick. So stuff like album releases and interviews about the future of the band and
big
stuff like that. Yeah, and they give free stuff with it, usually a DVD or a CD as well as some posters or something.
Yeah, to answer your question about what you'd expect with a monthly magazine at £5, I'd actually expect something that I could almost use as reference. So, you know, for example, I associate spending £5 on a magazine like a boring magazine like What Car or something like that, where you actually get something for that money, because you get a directory at the back where they've got reviews of all cars and things like that. So I think if you're spending £5, I expect to get a little bit more. Yeah, so either a free gift or something. It's a bit like in computer games magazines, where at the back they've got a directory of all former games, and that's something that you can kind of keep and refer to, which gives the magazine a bit of longevity, rather than just thinking, I've spent a £5 on that, I've read 3 interesting articles and kind of it's done. That would annoy me, I think.
My worry slightly is that where you have monthly magazines that I can think of, it's things like Vogue and Elle, and A, they're really heavy to read because they've got to be, because there's so much in them, but B, they're very stylistic magazines. And my worry with yours is that you would move from a music magazine such as Kerrang, Still Hannah, NME, Rolling Stone, into something that was more about style. So would there be the substance? Because if you have a lot of magazines that are monthly are very stylistic. So that'd be my thought.
So, I'm not sure if you all know a lot about the grime genre. So, what would you say more of a weekly magazine for that kind of thing?
I mean, the other thing is, what could make someone, these guys don't buy. Anthony said he's never bought a magazine in his life. What might change that, I wonder? Or is anything going to change that? I don't know.
No, because like Alice said, you can just use the internet and just get it right there, and for free.
So what if it was something really exclusive? Because our idea originally was to do a sort of underground music magazine, which would be like artists from all different sort of genres, but they're sort of unknown, so you wouldn't really find out about that online unless you knew where to look. And we're sort of suggesting doing a similar thing, like a similar idea of, because obviously grime is an underground sort of genre, so we were suggesting doing something like that for
sort of grime unsigned type thing.
But if it's so important that grime is underground, would grime want to become overground? I mean, if you make it into a big kind of, if you publish it and stuff, do people turn around?
It is quite a popular genre, like in just regular like British music, but there is still a lot of it that is done underground, like SBTV. They take a lot of underground artists and everything, and they use that to become sort of bigger and more established. And
you see American artists like Exhibit and stuff. They're usually using different types of to gain more fans. They go to different types of places. Like there's Exhibit apparently is working with some people in like India in their type of hip hop, and they go to different places. Like I heard that Giggs is doing some sort of he's featuring in someone big in America's albums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And where would you find information about that out?
Probably social networking would be a good one, I think.
It's a lot to do with, because there's some amazing like acts that don't get noticed as much, because obviously it's more about views. Like it all initially starts sort of like on YouTube, like Justin Bieber. He's not obviously a grime artist, but that's where he got picked up off of. And Rebecca Black, even if she did make a completely awful song, it's made her world famous because just because of like maybe a little hate campaign or whatever. But we were suggesting, because grime is more of an English thing, and well, the sort of grime that we're directing towards is more of an English thing, and it's not always often recognised. And if we were just to say, if we were to take someone who had got famous sort of online and put them in a magazine, we thought it might attract more of an audience, because you've heard of them but you know they're small. and it's sort of the excitement of them getting bigger.
Okay,
That made sense. That was really long-winded.
No, that did make sense. Any more questions, just to finish off?
Would you prefer, if you were going to buy a music magazine, would you prefer it hard copy, or would you prefer it like online, kind of like where you would get it like a paywall? Like, yeah. Well, how would you prefer it?
To be honest, I prefer it like if I just had it right in front of my face, but because I read newspapers.
Do you think it would be maybe a good idea for for a paywall, even if you're not?
I wouldn't really support it, to be honest, but
I would assume I could find it somewhere else. I think if I was wanting to read on the internet, I would be annoyed at having to pay for it, because I'd assume that similar information would be available somewhere else. But I do still buy magazines and newspapers, because I think that sitting and reading the paper or reading a magazine is still a pleasure and also a necessity. If you're going on a long journey or you commute to work or school every day, then actually having something decent to read is a major factor. That's why so many people pick up Metro or Evening Standard or whatever. I don't think it's down to the quality of the paper. So I would put in a strong vote for having something sort of to hold in my hands, even though potentially the financial model might not be there to make that possible. I don't know, but I would still be much more comfortable with that than paying something online. I don't know what other people think.
I think it depends for me what the purpose of the magazine is. If it is a music magazine, it's all about listings, all about gigs, all about finding information like that, and it was all in one place, then yes, I probably would pay for it, because I would know for my subscription I didn't have to look anywhere else.
Pay for it online?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I knew if it was there, but if it's a monthly, that's going to be difficult. And I don't know, perhaps if it's a website, it gets updated daily, and it's the place where I go to for all my grime needs, then
I do think though that we've stumbled across something here, in the sense that is there a grime listings thing?
There isn't. There isn't.
So actually having that as part, because that effectively is the roundabout point I was making when I was talking about buying like what car and there's a directory at the back. That's actually what I'm getting at, isn't it? Something that you can use, something that is valuable and that you can't get without paying the money for that magazine. That if there's nowhere listing grime performances, gigs, that kind of event, then that might be something people would be willing to pay for. I don't know.
Because it does have like there are various grime artists out there that do get mentioned, but there's nothing that's just specific to that genre, apart from I think the biggest thing for England would be the SBTV sort of thing, where they all come together and they all do it. There's a small branch Acting and Entertainment, and then they've got loads of little other ones that are more town based, and our idea was just to sort of expand on that to make the smallers sort of bigger.
Interesting. Any final questions, or are we looking good?
Well, that's it. Thank you.